Hello and welcome to Grocer Pod. My name is Sean Kosednar. The AWG Family of Brands olive oil line has been undergoing some recent assortment changes, including updated sizes and new items. What hasn't changed in nearly 20 years is the partnership with a single family-run manufacturing plant in Italy. Joining the podcast today is Jeff Bono from Italian Imports. Today we're talking about the farm-to-bottle journey from the Superior Selections by Best Choice Olive Oil program and the exciting launch of the new Best Choice items. Before we get to Jeff, I want to remind you to please subscribe to Grocer Pod. Subscribing means new episodes will be downloaded for you each week. You can find Grocer Pod on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, or any other platform you use to listen to podcasts. Thanks for joining me today, Jeff.
You're welcome, Sean. First, thanks for the invitation. What a wonderful opportunity to share.
Absolutely. So you've been working with AWG for nearly 20 years with the same olive oil manufacturing plant in southern Italy. Can you tell us about that plant?
I'd love to. So as you mentioned, they're in southern Italy, and we've been working with them since the beginning of the program, 2007. They're family-owned, but yet really, really large. So their sales reach way beyond Italy, into Europe, Russia, China, of course, with our company, Italian Imports. They're in the United States.
And why have you remained loyal to the same plant all these years?
Great question. So the entire family has what I call that old world Italian approach, not only to life, but in turn to business, which is reflected in the quality of their products and their service level. So not to stereotype, but I'm Italian, Sicilian, so I can do this. If you think of the movies, you've got friends or someone who's Italian, you walk into their home, into their kitchen, and inevitably they want to make a meal for you, right? So that food that they prepare, it's perfect. The taste, everything is wonderful about it. And that little Italian kitchen approach is what they do and is carried through in every aspect of their business. And it shines through in every bottle of olive oil that they make. That's why we're there. That's why we've been there for all these years, is that quality. It's phenomenal.
I mentioned farm to bottle in the intro, and you've been to this plant during harvest time. Can you elaborate on the harvest process?
Yeah, what a wonderful experience. So it's an experience I'll say we were totally unprepared for. So the invite was as simple as, hey, come on over and we'll show you the process. So we are quite literally, if you think of like Friday casual business attire, so we're in shoes, not tennis shoes, right? Nicer jeans, a button-down shirt, golf shirt, right? And they drive us to the fields, right? Some people call it an orchard. These are actually trees, fruit trees. So it's, fruit orchard, right? Immediately we go out to, we are in the dirt, hands-on equipment, right? So we were not prepared for this. So here's the process, right? So if you think about a tractor, and on the front of this tractor, there's what looks like almost like a forklift, but it's got pads, right? So this fork is the tractor approaches the tree, and that fork goes around the trunk, right? It's padded so it protects the tree, and it will, with great speed, move left to right, and it will shake the tree, and the olives come down. Okay, so that's how the olives come out of the tree. There's another apparatus that it circles the trunk of the tree with a net. So those olives, when the tree is shaken, they fall into this netting. Okay. In the olden days, you used to have many farmers, and they would have sticks or poles and tarps laid on the ground around the trees, and they would hit the branches to knock the olives off, right? So nowadays they're using the machinery. So after the olives come down and they're in this netting, the next step, because at that first stage, these olives will have small twigs. They'll have leaves from the olive tree with the olives. So that next step, still in the field, is you have a very large, what looks like a drum, or it's a trommel, and the olives go in there and it rotates very slowly. And the point of that is it's the first stage to separate the fruit, the olive, from the tree, the branch, the twig, and the leaf, right? So it's that first separation to get rid of any of the unwanted small twigs, leaves, that kind of thing. So from that point, the olives are transported to the plant. And quick sidebar, on this trip, after we get back to the plant, they bring us to this room. There's this little spigot, right? Like a tap. And it's the olive oil from the harvest that had just begun. And in the 20 years I've been in the olive oil business, I have never tasted anything that is fresh as what has just been pressed. It was a memory I'll never forget. So that's the general process.
And what time of year does this happen?
So good question. So October, November is when it begins, going through roughly February to March, right? So this is a time period for all olive growing countries, right? So that includes Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, right? So within all those countries, there are going to be differences in time, harvest stop and start times, because of, for example, proximity to the equator, weather. You can imagine weather within a single country, right? You might have one region of Italy, to use that as the example, that started, and this one region, maybe after their harvest began, has a couple weeks of solid rain. They have to put the harvest on hold. And a different region of Italy isn't getting that much rain, and they continue from when they began all the way. So they're going to finish their harvest sooner than this other region within the same country, right? So the general guideline for all the oil producing countries, October, November, roughly to March.
Since day one, the AWG Family of Brands olive oil program has grown from a product of Italy program to a program offering for every category of olive oil, all shipping from the same plant in Italy. Can you touch on the product assortment from the superior selections by Best Choice product of Italy to the Best Choice everyday line extension to the value tier with Always Save?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's a great story. So as you mentioned, day one, the Product of Italy program started, and today that's called the Superior Selection Best Choice. It's the top quality, the product of Italy, and the item is extra virgin olive oil. That's it. That's what that line is right now. So entering the AWG lineup and currently soft launching SKU by SKU is the Best Choice olive oil line. That line is comprised of an extra virgin olive oil, and it also has, different than the Superior Selection line, it also has an extra light olive oil, and it also has a pure olive oil line, right? So that olive oil is also bottled at our plant in Italy. However, the Best Choice line comes from various countries, including Italy. I'll elaborate on that here in a minute, but basically this line, the Best Choice line, is designed to compete directly with the national brand leader, blended oil to blended oil, okay? And then, of course, we have the Always Save line. That's a single SKU. It's a pure olive oil meant to deliver a quality product, but at a price-oriented price. So, again, also from our plant in Italy.
Gotcha. So the Superior Selections by Best Choice oil is a single country source oil. Can you elaborate on what that means and why it's important to shoppers?
Yes. Causes great confusion to many people not oriented to the olive oil category. So I'll try to, it's very simple concept. So single source olive oil means that it will only come from Italy or the contents of the bottle only come from Spain, as an example, or only comes from Greece, only comes from a single country, right? So you can also have a blended olive oil, and that means that the contents of that olive oil bottle could come from a combination of Italian olive oil along with Tunisian olive oil or Spanish olive oil, and it can vary by production, right? So that's as at its simplest level, that's all it means. Single source, one country, right? Blend means from multiple countries.
Gotcha. If you were in a store and shoppers were coming up to you to ask you, about this new olive oil, what are you going to tell them about it that like, this is why it's important to you?
So that's a great question. So you've got among the blended olive oils, you've got varying degrees of quality. So what our plant does is it strives to take the highest quality oils from Spain, from Greece, from each of the different countries that it's using in this blended product. And with the production standards that our plant has, ultra high, right? It produces one of the highest quality blended extra virgin olive oil and extra light olive oil and pure olive oils that they're going to find.
I think that's amazing because I really enjoy food. I like to cook, and I like to think that I'm an informed consumer, and I have no idea what's going on with olive oil. And so it's nice to know that not only can you get a really great price, with it being, an AWG Brands product, it's going to compete on price, but it's also going to be, as good a quality as really anything else that you're going to find on the shelf.
Absolutely. In addition to the quality standards our business has, right? Those are the two main reasons why what we put in front of AWG will only ever be quality, right? That if you can't be in a small company, and I know we'll touch on this, if you don't present absolute quality, then what are you bringing to the table? Right? I mean, what's your purpose for existence, right? So every bottle of oil that has that AWG label is absolute quality.
Jeff, I'm definitely going to have to bring you back because I take us on a tangent. You segue us right back to the questions. So I appreciate that from you. Just like the plant that you source the olive oil from, your company is also a family centered, with your dad founding the company and your wife working there also. Can you tell me more about it?
Yeah, I'd love to. So shortly after my father started this company, my wife joined. A few years after that, I can laugh at it and say I was the last one to wise up, or I was late to the party, but I joined. And we've been small ever since, right? And when you look at, how do you grow and do you really need more people? Right now, we don't, right? We've got a model in place that allows us to stay small, stay family oriented. And what does that small size allow us to do? It allows us to pivot on a dime. If AWG calls and says, hey, can you guys do this? We can strategize, plan in an afternoon and get back to them and say, absolutely, here's the plan, here's the execution route, right? It's very simple compared to our larger competitors. Typically, the larger they are, the more encumbered they are by their size. They're slower in movement, slower to execute, right? So we're first to the party, first to execute. And it's life-saving in many instances, right? So one of the things that I always say, Sean, is that with what I just laid out, it is our goal that anyone in AWG, if they were asked walking down the hallway, the elevator conversation, right? Who's one of your best vendors? Who's your best supplier? Our goal is to have them, without even thinking, we want them to say Italian Imports. And the reason being is that we want them being so confident with what we are bringing to the table that when they have an issue, and I've told them this, when you have an issue, it doesn't even have to be in our categories. If you have a question, call us. If we don't know the answer, we'll get it instantly. We'll get the people surrounded to the table that can solve the problem or the issue or the new ad that they're trying to do. And then you execute, right? So that's what being the value added channel partner is you pick up the phone and how do you solve it, right? How quickly can we get at it, right? That's what we strive to do every day.
Well, Jeff, I really appreciate your time today. Thanks for coming on Grocer Pod.
I appreciate it. It's been wonderful. I'd love to be back.
We'll definitely have you back in the future. And thank you all for listening. Please remember to like and subscribe to Grocer Pod. That way you can stay up to date on all the latest things going on around AWG. Until next week, this has been Sean Kosednar with Grocer Pod.